This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network, on a football Friday. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Loaded 3-hour program coming up today. Among our guests, Glenn Clark, Pressbox Online in Baltimore, covers the Ravens. For that big boy on Sunday night, Steelers, Baltimore, loser leaves town match. The fantasy guru, John Hansen, best player props for Week 18 in an hour. Ryan Kramer, first touchdown scorer savant, co-host of the Sports Gambling Podcast show right here on VSiN, is going to be on the program, and Doug Kazarian a little bit later on as well. We'll run the gamut today with games in Week 18 of the National Football League. We will also, spend a little bit of time, at least, Pauly, talking about college football, and that was a banger last night in the Sugar Bowl. And Ole Miss was awesome. And Trinidad Chambliss is the man, and I got buried on the game. I just betting a number again. Georgia was bet down to $2 on the money line. I'm like, how? They're a 6-point favorite. $2 on the money line. So people here at Circa anyway, were just betting Ole Miss to win the game outright, and it gave you a better number on Georgia. And I kind of hate myself because I wanted Ole Miss to win, and I'm one of two people to pick them in the betting guide.
Yeah.
Ole Miss to win the game outright. But I bet that number, and I'm watching the game. I'm like, why did I do that? Because I don't want Georgia to win anyway.
Well, I was with you because Kirby against Golding would only coach in his second game, and the fact that they got whatever they wanted in the first meeting, and still the uncertainty of the coaching staff. So maybe LSU was looking around about, are we do the right thing here, giving Kiffin all this money? They're rocking and rolling without him.
At this point, I hope they win the whole thing, just to rub it right in his face the entire time.
Yeah, but now this is an Ole Miss source. There's going to be some fireworks. We always knew this might be a possibility, as some of the assistants are pushing back on leaving, as they're 2 wins away from winning the title, but then the portal's open and they have to do the LSU job.
That's right.
So now it becomes messy. But between the fake punts and guys getting wide open and behind defenders time and time again, Kirby had a bad game. It was a great performance by Chambliss, and I am excited. This is a great Final Four.
Oh, it really is.
And again, because we were sitting here the morning of Selection Sunday saying we think Miami's going to get in. Miami was 125-1 to win the whole thing on Selection Sunday. They are favored, and if they beat Ole Miss, they get a home game for the whole shebang.
I can't believe we didn't plunk any money down on them. We said that entire show on the Pro Football Tailgate show back then.
Yeah, look at the money. Look at the
keep betting them to get into the playoff.
Yep. Every team left has a transfer at quarterback. A coach is going to win a title for the first time, and the only reason the SEC is here is because they played themselves.
Yeah.
So every year, we got to get rid of polls. It's a blank slate and an empty canvas. I don't want to see, Penn State, Clemson, Texas, whatever. The whole year, people were talking about, is BYU any good? Well, if BYU would have started in the top 10 like they belonged, you wouldn't have this nonsense, right? So no more would so-and-so, how would they do in the SEC? No more of that crap. Alabama got embarrassed, and again, the only reason the SEC is here is because they played one another. Big Ten runs a sport.
And no more forcing teams and we said this, by the way, again, the day of, no more forcing teams like Alabama or Oklahoma ahead of a team like Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I remember on that Sunday morning tailgate show when we were betting Miami to make the playoff, we're like, by the way, why should Notre Dame not be in over those two teams? Because they were behind them in their stupid committee rankings in the first place? Get out of here with that.
Yep.
And we're seeing it play out like that, and I got to tell you, I know it's only one game, and the guy's done a hell of a job there. But in a big spot like that, that was a disaster by Kirby Smart.
I agree.
The entire time. Yep. First of all, up 21-12 at half. You have a 1st and 10 at the Ole Miss 39, 2-yard run, incomplete, missed 55-yard field goal. He had a chance to put him in a body bag at that point, and they could not do it. Trailing 27-24, more than 9 minutes to go at your own 33. They run off the punt unit. Gunnar Stockton comes back on. They call a snap. He gets sacked. It's like half the team didn't even know what the hell was going on. You can punt the football there. Let's do some razzle-dazzle. Put Ole Miss, who we haven't stopped the entire game, back on the field. 2 plays later, touchdown right in your eyeball. 34-24 Ole Miss. And then, what everybody's been talking about the entire time, you have a 1st and goal. And Stockton was awesome last night. at the 8-yard line. A minute 4 left. Eventually, Ole Miss calls all their timeouts. They're out. 3-yard run, 3-yard loss, 59 seconds left. That's after they took another timeout. Incomplete pass and started running the football. Game's going to go to overtime. Unless that kid's going to hit a 60-yard field goal to get in range. But
Well, he's Aubrey, maybe.
oh, he's amazing.
Yes, he is. The one from 56 hit the net.
But how did he lose his... He was supposed to have the clear coaching edge.
Yep.
And he didn't. He was awful in the game. So even guys who have all that experience, and it should be a big factor, they lose their minds as well. You saw it right in front of your own face last night. And look, I mean, the fact that Chambliss on 3rd and 5 is going deep, and they had onions the entire game, I actually thought it was great to watch. He's 75-1 to be the first player taken in the draft.
I like him. He's a stud.
Now, I'm not telling you to
doubt.
go out there and, who knows what draftniks are going to say, but that was a fun game, and I think Ole Miss is live against Miami.
3.5 now, DraftKings.
How does that play out? What rules today there? The Miami defense or what we saw last night with that offense?
It's a good question. I also think Miami can move the ball, no doubt about it. And Beck's been great. You got to play clean football again, but the weapons that they have, and good luck stopping Fletcher. That's the other thing. But can you slow down this high-octane offense? But what they did against Ohio State was incredible, and A&M. 12 sacks so far in the playoff. I mean, it's incredible. And I think this is going to be huge. The fact that they know this is astonishing. They get a home game for the national title, and they're favored now.
Yeah, if they win.
Yeah, and the other thing is how Dogs have crushed it. In playoff games this year, Dogs, or 2025, Dogs 5-3 straight up. From 2017 to 2024, they were 5-27 straight up. And again, you have to point it out. Teams off the bye are now 1-7. And conference champs have lost 9 of 10.
That's right.
What is going on?
Well, I'll tell you again, and how long have I been saying this, Pauly? Get rid of the conference title games. We're beyond the point of them being necessary or meaningful whatsoever. Like, I think we can all agree on that, except for the people who make $1 zillion off it, obviously. There's no point to having conference title games. Hasn't been forever, and never more so than today, in today's college football. But this is why the NCAA will say this, I'm convinced, that part of the reason why they're going to go to 16 teams is, well, now they're going to be the ones to overreact and say 1-7 with the bye. Yeah, we want our best teams with, on an equal playing field. Like, this is a bad thing to have a bye. It has been so far after 2 years.
Right.
But that'll be part of the reason why we're going to go to at least a 16-team field, in my opinion.
The only outlier is Indiana, because they have the best coach in the world. And what they did against Alabama was men against boys. But Texas Tech was awful. They embarrassed themselves, and a lot of these teams. I mean, we were on the air last year for the Rose Bowl. Game was over in the first quarter. Oregon was undefeated. Never stood a chance in that game.
How does that game go up, by the way, in the rematch? Indiana opened up a 4.5-point favorite, bet down to 4 at most spots. They led 30-20 the first time they played. Now, we had a little bit shy of 600 yards of offense in that game, but neither offense was great. 3 yards per play to 2.7. The Ducks scored 13 points on offense, had a pick 6. But the Hoosiers actually had 3 different 75-yard touchdown drives. And Mendoza and that offense bounced back after that pick 6 to go on a 12-play drive, lasted a little bit more than 6 minutes, scored a touchdown. And Oregon could not run the football yesterday against Texas Tech.
They were awful.
But Texas Tech has the best run defense in football.
Well, they didn't do much on offense. That could have been a 6-0 the game. It was all Morton and handing them points. He was terrible on offense. The sack that set him up 1st and goal. The sack on 4th down that set him up 1st and goal. Jumping off sides on 4th and 1. But I echo your sentiments from yesterday. And you got to think Cignetti's the best in the world. Dan Lanning went for it 8 times. In a game where you didn't think Texas Tech was going to score a touchdown. He doesn't like to punt, and he hates field goals. It's going to get him beat.
Yeah, that will come back to bite him.
Yeah.
It did a couple of years ago against Washington a couple of times. I saw both those games up close and personal, and it was just – and I liked it because I had bets on Oregon both times, or checked out Washington both times, because Oregon's power rating was to the moon, and he just was completely careless and reckless as a head coach. And he was that guy again yesterday. And I would ask you, Pauly, why is that going to change? He's going to all of a sudden flip it?
No.
I don't think so either.
No, he won't get away from it. Yep. And then as I tweeted, what if Indiana had a good week of practice?
Well, but also, did Cignetti do that on purpose?
Why would he mention it 3 times then?
I don't know. Fire his kids up, make Alabama believe like, oh, Bama's going to hear that, obviously.
Now, that was great.
A little gamesmanship there.
That was great from Saban on game day. I don't know about cursing live on the air.
I didn't hear. What did he say?
He goes, well, I need to tell you, everyone, how good this Indiana team is. And he refers to them as we, but when I go out with my golfing buddies, all my Alabama says we're going to kick the bleep out of Indiana. And they just can't believe that Indiana, a basketball school, has become this in football. And just look at the point spread. But they used to, talking to all my Alabama friends, it should be no problem, right?
Should be no
We're
problem.
Taking on Indiana.
Should be no problem.
And but Saban again picked Alabama to win the game. He can't get away from it, even though he was just praising Indiana for 5 minutes straight. I'm telling all my friends how good they are. I'm telling them, watch out. Again, game was over in the second quarter.
Boy, life changes pretty quickly, huh? Their football life fandom is changing right in front of their eyes, and they're 10 years behind.
Yeah.
I mean, this has happened so fast, and they're by default, they're a basketball school. I got news for you, pal. Again, SEC, Nick Saban's a long time ago already, and you've been surpassed by many, many programs, and this guy might be the best in the entire country now. Not close. Again, that was the varsity versus the JV yesterday. You were never in the game, never had a prayer. You could play 10 times against Indiana, and you're going to get boat raced 9 of them. 9 of them. That was a bloodbath, man.
It was a good job by Matt Humans to call for the blowout as well.
Yeah.
He had Indiana in a blowout.
That's a thing. If Indiana, do you want to bet outs against Oregon? Because I don't think Cignetti will take it easy on anybody.
That's true.
And if
I'm with you. He'll run it up.
It seems to me like if they're going to win again by a couple scores probably.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into Week 18 games in the National Football League. We'll tell you which quarterback is only 7-21 ATS as a home favorite since 2020. Coming up on Follow the Money, it's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Must admit that tomorrow is pretty awesome. I know the game on paper, look, the winner of the NFC South is going to be a big dog in the first playoff game, but it is a division championship that we're talking about and a playoff berth on the line here. In theory, I guess if Tampa Bay wins and the Falcons take care of the Saints on Sunday, Carolina's still in. But I think for like a 6.5-hour stretch tomorrow, I'm going to be glued to the TV and probably doing some live betting on this.
Yep. I like Seattle. I don't know what to make of the first game because Tampa's lost 7 of 8, 0-8 ATS run, and 1-8 ATS run at home. And how bad they've been offensively, and they were 6-2 at one point, and they're leaking oil.
They're 3 even money or various juice at different books.
Carolina's already tied a record for most wins in a season as a dog, and they've covered 7 in a row off a loss. Tampa loves the blitz. They're number 4 in blitz rate, and that's what's going to cause problems for Bryce Young, and maybe he turns it over. But I don't know what Tampa's going to do offensively and how bad they've been, and go back to the first time these teams met and the issues that they had as well and lost that game. So to think that you've lost 7 of 8 and the only win was at home by 3 points over god-awful Arizona, who's lost 13 of 14. So you are right about what's on the line here, but in terms of I guess I would lead under, but in terms of a side, I can't, to me, it'd be Carolina or a pass.
Yeah, because I would say this, right? And look, Tampa a couple of weeks ago, they were pretty much the same number on the road against Carolina. They lost the game outright, and now we're playing again 2 weeks later, and they're pretty much the same number at home. I would just say that is there really a home field advantage for Carolina or Tampa Bay? I would say no.
No.
Especially the way that Tampa's been playing this year, I would say there's absolutely no home field advantage. And I think that basically if you want to just factor that in and say it's kind of like a neutral anyway, then the Panthers getting 3 is probably the wrong number. This
would be an all-timer if Carolina wins. Since 1990, no team has won more games as a dog. And also the ATS run off of losses I mentioned. But they've been outscored by 67 points this year. 2010 Seattle, and 2011 Denver. Worst point differential for a division champ. So when Carolina loses, it's bad.
Yeah.
6 of the 8 losses have been by double digits. But it comes down to also, I think Tampa can contain the rushing attack. But what does Young do and what does McMillan do? And I think they can maybe do a better job there and hold them in check, and maybe Bryce can turn it over.
Hey, Luke, can you do me a favor? Can you look what a two-team moneyline parlay would pay? And that would be Tampa Bay to win this game along with what has to happen there?
Saints money line.
The Saints money line. Yeah. Saints,
how about that? Carolina now $450 to win the division.
Right, because
after Atlanta won Monday night.
So is there potentially value here? Because the Buccaneers are minus 155 on the money line. It's plus 340 for a two-team parlay, so maybe you can find a little bit more than that on them to win the division.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the same neighborhood.
Yeah, it'd be typical NFC South. Tampa Bay wins, but the Falcons win.
Right.
So Carolina gets it. And in that game, it's more good news for Carolina. Olave's out, Kamara's out, and all these guys are questionable but supposed to play for Atlanta, London, Pitts, and Mooney. So Shuck's going to have to be Superman here without his top weapon, although he's been great going back. But that'd be and again, Atlanta wants to get to close on a winning streak and get to 8-9.
And your guy, Raheem Morris, probably wants to keep his job.
Yeah, too.
So there's also this. Baker Mayfield is the guy I was talking about before the break. 16-12 straight up, but only 7-21 ATS as a home favorite since 2020. I think that kind of coincides with what I was saying with him as a quarterback here. Not exactly great with the home field advantage.
Yeah.
7-21 covering numbers.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yep.
Seattle's up to 2.5, by the way.
I agree with it. Yep. So this is a game where Darnold should be comfortable, and they're not going to put heat on him. He's going to have time to throw. The Niners are last in sacks and last in pressure rate, and for whatever reason, Sal is not dialing up the blitz.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't send people late until the Monday night game against the Colts, which didn't make any sense. Niners have a good track record against Seattle. They've won 7 of the last 8. They've been awesome when Purdy's been in there, and they got the Week 1 win, but this is a completely different team now with all the injuries on defense. I like what Kubiak said, the OC of Seattle. We are not a championship team until we cut out the turnovers. 28 giveaways, second most in the league, 20 of them by Darnold. So I think he's going to implode, and it's coming at some point. And it'd be huge if they can get the 1 seed. I think he's going to have a comfortable game. JSN has a big game, locks up Offensive Player of the Year, and Seattle wins and gets the 1 seed here. And they do enough defensively to contain this great San Francisco offense.
So road teams are 4-1 straight up, 5-0 ATS between these two since the beginning of the 2023 season. There's also this now with that movement coming in on Seattle. You can now, I don't know if we have a lot of great teaser options this week in the NFL, but if you can find another dance partner or a couple if you want to play multiple, like a 3-legger or something, the Niners up to 8.5 on a teaser leg in this game. So then Seattle and Sammy D have to beat this offense by almost 10 points. Like that to me would be kind of appealing. And again,
are they going to stop them?
I don't think either team will stop either
really?
team. No, this Niners offense is...
They're too good right now.
They're too good right now.
Not even Seattle. Seattle won't slow them down.
Look, Shanahan's the man. Purdy, if he qualified, would be the number 1 rated quarterback in football. They are humming right now on offense. And I don't see a solution coming for no matter how good this Seahawks defense has been. Again, they got absolutely roasted by Matthew Stafford 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, fair.
Crushed. 600 yards of offense.
Oh, here's a good storyline. What if it's Purdy who continues with the turnovers and mistakes, though? I mean, he had the pick 6 against Chicago, and had 3 picks early on against Carolina.
Yeah.
Maybe he has an early one that leads to points. I expect a big game out of McCaffrey as well and out of the backfield as Seattle gives up a ton of dump-offs and targets to running backs.
That's right.
He could have a huge game here. But they're going to put heat on Purdy. They're top 10 in sacks and pressure, completely different defense compared to San Francisco. So fair point about what happened on the Thursday night game. But, you can have a bad performance. And the thing that turned it around, as McDonald said, was that game against Tampa that they lost 38-35. And since then, the defense has been great in that phenomenal road record they have. So
I'm looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba's game log right now. His biggest dud of the year was November 30th against Minnesota. They won that game 26-0, but he had 2 catches for 23 yards. Other than that, he's had at least 72 yards in every game. His next lowest output was 79, and beyond that, he's had a minimum of 92 or 93 yards in every single game this year, including week 1 when he had 9 for $124 against the Niners defense that was, healthy at the time. And the Opta AI stats, vsin.com/NFL props. They have him going to 117 yards in this game. I don't disagree with it.
Let's go.
And I know it's ultra high at like 90. Well, DraftKings is now 99.5. He was 94.5 earlier today.
Only plus 230 to have 130 yards.
Damn.
Jennings has scored 5 in a row. Pearsall's been good.
Yeah.
You get Kittle back.
That's
I think
big.
it's a big McCaffrey game as well. And I do like both teams to make a 33-yard field goal. And as I gave it out earlier and wrote about at vsin.com, Myers has been great. Myers is on a 9-2 overrun, 1.5 made field goals.
Yep. We're going to get into the Steelers and Ravens game with Glenn Clark, who covers the Ravens in Baltimore, coming up in about 7-8 minutes. So the Lions-Bears is another intriguing game to me. You know that Dan Campbell's not going to lay down. It's not who he is. It's not in his blood. And I'm with you, by the way. I piggybacked everything. It makes too much sense. Caleb Williams passing yards over.
Have to. Bear quarterbacks never thrown for 4,000 yards. Take the plus 160 on that to get 270. There's another one. If they score 32 points, they set a franchise record. Remember what happened in week 2? They ran the score up on them, and they embarrassed them. And that's when all the talk was, well, we don't need Johnson.
That's right.
No big deal. And how they embarrassed them in that game. So they also might get help from Washington, although I still think Philadelphia wins with the backups. But as Sirianni said, I can't control getting the 2 seed. I can control getting the guys rest and getting healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. But I think it's a big game for Chicago through the air and what Williams can do. And it's just been horrible for Detroit.
Doesn't it seem to you like Ben Johnson's the kind of guy
Yes.
to remember what happened the first time they played?
Yep.
Be like, oh,
That
look,
last touchdown was so unnecessary. How it played out.
It felt like Campbell, that was on purpose. And he's going to be like, look, we had a great run for a couple of years. However, I'm the new sheriff in town in this division. You guys clearly miss me. And I have this team humming right now, and Caleb's gotten a lot better in year number 2. And I do recall, I don't have a short memory. I recall what took place earlier this season, and it's not going to be fun because you're going to get a taste of your own medicine. That's all narrative built in, but it just feels to me like he could be that kind of guy. And I do think that would be pretty big for the overall fan base and the organization if they could get Williams 270 passing yards to be I can't even believe that, the first quarterback ever for the team to have 4,000 yards.
It's been a crazy season.
Yep.
If Baltimore loses, Evan Abrams had this, be the first time since 2018 you had 3 teams with win totals of 11 plus and they couldn't make the playoffs.
Ooh.
First time since 2000. It'd be 3 teams.
25 years.
Yeah. What happened with all these big-time quarterbacks and win totals? Baltimore, power rating sky high. Mahomes always makes the playoffs, wins the division. Detroit fell on their faces. There's some another team with a win total up there as well.
I feel like we do. We talked about this all week. Still haven't gotten there. Number hasn't moved. I kind of feel like we need to bet Baltimore 10-1 to win the AFC.
I got to see what Glenn says.
Yeah.
They got to win this game.
We'll run that by him. Loser leaves town match coming up Sunday night. I bet Derrick Henry over 18.5 carries. We're going to ask Glenn Clark, who covers the Ravens, if that was a wise bet or a waste of money, and if we should put down money at 10-1 on this team to win the AFC coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Of course, the regular season is going to play out like this into Week 18, where the AFC North is not going to be decided until the final regular season game of the year, and it's going to be between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Why would it go any other way? And to discuss this game more now in depth, Glenn Clark joins the program, Press Box Online in Baltimore, on X at Glenn Clark Radio, and he is on the Progressive guest line. As always, my man, good to talk to you. Thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Mitch, it made me very happy when I saw the script and it said Ravens Steelers for the division at the end of the year, and I get to go on with Mitch and Pauly, my guys. Always appreciate you guys taking the time.
Love talking to you. It seems like you come on every time before there's a big Baltimore game, and that happens obviously a handful of times, at least throughout the entire year. Let's begin with this. Lamar Jackson's going to give it a go. It feels like he's had something wrong with almost every imaginable body part this year.
Yep.
Like, how healthy does the team actually think he is at this point? What do you think we can expect from him?
Yeah, clearly it's been a game of operation, right? Like it's, everything. So the toe, the knee, the back. Look, this one happened obviously in the Patriots game. He takes a knee to the back. It's unprotected. He said he attempted to go back into that game. He couldn't throw the ball. The fact that he didn't play last week in what was, we thought, a must-win game against the Packers and is playing this week, I think tells you that all of the hubbub about, this isn't related to the injury. This is a problem between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I think that quiets that and ends that sort of nonsense. The question of how healthy is he? It's a question we've asked every week this season. He is clearly, you guys and I talked before the last couple of injuries about how he was running the ball less than he ever had in his career by far. I think that he will be limited in that capacity because he's been limited all year as far as running the ball is concerned. I think the real question is he able to throw the ball? The fact that he didn't play last week and is playing this week would suggest to me that he feels comfortable. And the Ravens needed more of a downhill passing threat than as well as Tyler Huntley played last week, and he really did. He played as well as you could possibly ask in that spot. They needed more of a downhill passing threat against the Steelers.
We would talk about this every week. It finally happened in Lambeau. Why doesn't Henry get 25 carries a game?
God.
It must be maddening to you and the fans to watch that. And then after they got away from it in the Patriot game, when he didn't have a touch in the last 12 minutes, Harbaugh says, yeah, I'll look into it. What kind of comment is that?
Yeah, right. You're the head coach. You are the guy. It was a rough week for John Harbaugh because there's no defense of that. I mean, there's none. There's no. Well, it's on, Todd Monken. You're the head coach. You're the guy. And in particular, the drive that everybody was freaking out about from the Patriots game with 9 minutes left, they got a first down. They had an opportunity to reset and say, okay, we got away with it, but we're not going to allow this to continue. So I think last week was maybe one of the easiest to see overcorrections of all time. Like if we had done this, I would have said whatever the number is, maybe bet double that. Like this was, they were going to give the ball to Derrick Henry 100 times come hell or high water, simply because of how that went against New England. Why they don't do it every game, I get coming into the year. You can't plan on giving the ball to Derrick Henry 36 times a game, and I understand that you want to have him ready to go for January, but this was a team that didn't have January guaranteed and still doesn't going into this game. So it has been very strange that they had not been more committed. I do think that how public that was in the Patriots game has led to that. I expected them attempting to have this game go through Derrick Henry again, and that worked quite well for them against the Steelers in the playoffs and in December a year ago in the second regular season matchup. I do think that with Derek Harmon, this is a Steelers team that's a little bit more prepared for that than they were a year ago. I think Derek Harmon was a draft pick to go up against Derrick Henry, frankly. But I don't know. I don't think the number is going to be 36. I still think this is going to be a game that's going to be dictated by Derrick Henry.
Okay, yeah, because I bet one of the first bet, I had this one circled, like as soon as it pops, I got to bet it. I bet Henry over 18.5 at minus 108. It has since moved. Basically, 19.5 is the most common number out there. You can get 18.5 at like minus 30 cents. Wise bet, waste of money.
Yeah, I'd still bite, right? Like I would still bite on that. I do think that this is, particularly with how limited Lamar Jackson is. And part of this goes back to the fact that he's just not running the ball the same way. They want to get the ball to Keaton Mitchell. We've talked about Keaton Mitchell. They like Keaton Mitchell. But right now, the season's on the line. You survived one egregious error that you made. I don't think you're going to see another scenario where they're just getting away from Derrick Henry in the second half unless for some reason they're down by multiple scores.
Okay, so the number now in this game on Sunday night here at Circa has been bumped up to 4. Baltimore's favored by 4. I mean, right? I mean, that feels a touch high. And based on your reaction right there, I'm guessing you think it is too high.
I absolutely think it's too. I mean, I treat Ravens Steelers like I treat Army Navy, right? Like bet the underdog and bet the under. Like that just seems the way that these games are going. And I get it. This is not, a late the 2000 decade Ravens Steelers where every game is going to be 13-10. But given all of the question marks, given no DK Metcalf on one side, not knowing exactly how healthy Lamar Jackson is, I expect this to be a low-scoring game, and if that's the case, then I don't get that number going up to 4. I didn't like it at 3.5, frankly. I can't fathom that number at 4. I mean, is it possible? Of course, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Raven Steelers that we're talking about. This is a place where goofy things happen. This is an unproven Ravens kicker who's never kicked in the open air at Heinz Field. It's not supposed to be all that windy on Sunday night, but still, all of those things, I expect a lower scoring game. And if it's a lower scoring game, then I don't think that number should be going up.
You got a lot of drama there. Well, what happens if they lose? The Baltimore Sun article about Jackson in the video games, and Harbaugh's asked about his future every week?
Paul, I think the Sun column, it was a column written by Mike Preston, and I think he kind of got away with things that looked like they were hard reporting that weren't actually really reporting, and more kind of a collection of greatest hits of someone's opinion about Lamar Jackson and what a quarterback is supposed to look like. The author of that column, Mike Preston, I think that's a bit overblown. Still, the Ravens have to work something out with Lamar Jackson. He's scheduled to be a $75 million cap hit next year. They've got to get that figured out. That is the more pressing issue that faces them. And there's a lot of question this week, I think, on both sides of this game. Is the loser of this game in jeopardy of losing their job? Now, the way these two organizations operate, my gut tells me no. I mean, until I see it, and I've poked around with the Ravens, I have not gotten the sense that this game is going to determine John Harbaugh's fate. Steve Bisciotti could change his mind, and he doesn't speak to us anymore, even off the record. So it's really hard to get a sense of what he's thinking. But this is an organization that has existed for 30 years. And between head coach and general manager, they've had 2 firings ever in 30 years. They don't like change. They modeled themselves after the Steelers. They like consistency. So until I see it, I assume that if there's change this offseason, it's more likely to be at the coordinator spots, and I do expect that. Then I expect it to be John Harbaugh. But, it would be interesting if things were to go south, if they were to go, get their butts kicked on Sunday night. And I don't know, maybe that changes things. But until I see it, I don't assume.
Okay. By the way, 4 short here at Circa. DraftKings is at 4.5 now on the game.
Oh, my God.
So money keeps coming in here 2 days before kickoff. That's.
I mean, is there something that I haven't heard that's going on in Pittsburgh? Is somebody?
Watt's going to play
TJ
too.
Watt's back.
Right?
I know.
Yeah, play.
Yeah. Well, they watched the Cleveland game too, maybe.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: if they do win, though, AFC feels like it's completely wide open for maybe the first time in a long, long time.
Right.
They're 10-1 to win the AFC. Is that worth a chunk of change in your opinion?
I don't think so, only because even in last week, you saw how the defense played against Malik Willis. And we all think Malik Willis is a potential starting quarterback last year. But that game was determined because of 3 kind of goofy decisions. One was plays. There was a snap off of Malik Willis's helmet. There was an interception thrown by Clayton Tune after Malik Willis had left the game. And there was a 4th down decision to go for it on the other side of the field where they ran a shotgun play on 4th and a nose hair. I don't think the defense looked like a defense that is capable of beating the best offenses in the football. I agree with what you're saying that the AFC does appear open, but I don't think the Ravens have it in them defensively. Even if you get Lamar Jackson back and he looks like Lamar Jackson, I don't think they have enough pressure-wise to be able to do it. And, boy, they're back in. Like, Nate Wiggins played his worst game of the season a week ago. Marlon Humphrey does not look like he can play, coverage corner anymore. I have too many defensive questions to buy into them being able to make a run to winning the AFC.
My God, we could talk to you all day long. In like 15 seconds, do you have a best bet, maybe a player prop for the game overall?
Yeah, Zay Flowers over in receiving yards. I had it at 60.5. I think it might have gone up a little bit in a couple of places, but that's been a pretty safe bet in almost every game, no matter who the quarterback is. It didn't hit with Tyler Huntley last week, but Lamar Jackson's throwing to Zay Flowers, and they're going to key in on the run. The ball's going Zay Flowers' way. I would bet his over.
Very good. Awesome spot as always, my man. Follow him on X. He is at Glenn Clark Radio, Press Box Online in Baltimore. He's covered the Ravens for a long, long time, and he was on the Progressive Guest Line. Thank you.
Mitch, Pauly, Happy New Year, guys. Love you.
Back at you,
buddy. Thank you.
Not worth a bet. 10-1 in his opinion. Good points there about the defense. Paul's going to recap a lot of what took place last night with win some, lose some. Coming up here on Follow the Money, it's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All right, as Mitch mentioned, Baltimore up to 4.5 Sunday night at DraftKings. From Evan Abrams, the dog in this series is 30, 12, and 3 ATS since 05. In the regular season, the dog is 25, 7, and 3 ATS. When the spread is higher than 3 points, the dog is 24, 5, and 3 ATS. Number keeps going up on Baltimore.
Wow.
History, like Glenn says, too high.
Those are incredible numbers.
Man, first touchdown, Indiana, Becker, 12-1. First touchdown, Stockton, 7-1. Defensive or special teams touchdown, plus 240. They get a scoop and score. Go up double digits and blow it. Biggest margin of victory, Indiana, 4-1. Lowest scoring game, Oregon, Texas Tech, plus 450. Most points scored, Old Miss, 8-1. And Old Miss money line, 2-1. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. This is nuts. Hey, I picked my sister up from doggy daycare. Look at the reaction when she leaves. And every dog is sitting there up against the fence. Oh. Don't go. Please don't go. Look at that. She's laughing, but it's like, yeah, every time I pick my sister up, look at that. They all go over there and all sad. Do you believe that? Have you ever seen something like that? That's nuts.
I feel like we've had some sort of a video like that before on the show, but that...
I think her name's Nancy, but she must be incredible, doggy.
Yeah. It tells you again that they're way better than we are.
Wow.
We don't deserve dogs.
And the memory, right, yeah. Oh, Nancy, don't go. Don't go, Nancy. And they see her off and look at everyone comes over to the fence. Send that to me, Luke. That's dynamite. Look at this one. Guy wants to play with the cane. The lady's got the walking cane, and the dog's coming up trying to get it. It's a stick. No, it's not a stick. She needs it to walk. It's a cane. Give me the stick. I mean, if he grabs it, it's ass over decal.
Yeah,
and then
please,
the girl's like, you can't do that. Trying all her might to hold him back because he knows what could happen if he grabs the stick.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be a good result.
No, right. Save the day. That's a new one. Phenomenal video.
That is some really orange hair, by the way.
Yeah.
Red, I get it.
All right.
I mean,
And a bad beat. If you bet the prop, fewest points allowed, Indiana 4-1. Indiana holds Bama to 3, but no good because Tech gets shut out.
Now, you really just got to throw your hands up in the air and be like, are you serious with this? Come on.
Oh, I can't believe how bad Morton was. I can't believe they were that bad offensively.
Does that make you think that Oregon's defense is just plain out of disrespect because all they probably heard about was how good this Texas Tech defense is? And they're going to hear about it the entire time about how they got smoked at home by Indiana?
They moved the ball. They just beat themselves. It was silly stuff, man.
They didn't move the ball that well. They didn't do much in offense at all.
They had a lot of the yards were there.
I don't think they
had
were.
The interception in the end zone. The other drive, they ran that stupid wildcat.
No, I know that. It was bad play calling as well.
Well, yeah. Before the line move, sharp plays already there. They don't just follow the market. They help them shape it. Powered by advanced AI, connected to proven insider sources across all sports. They deliver the edge serious bettors rely on. Free reports, alerts, market-moving insights straight to your inbox or X-Feed since 2011. Jeff and the crew have been at it. Kicking ass and taking names, documented results, public logs, transparent receipts, sharpplays.com. Trusted by pros, monitored by the book. Stay ahead of the line. Sharpplays.com.
All right, so you have a bet on this game going on right now, the Liberty Bowl, which just kicked off, Navy and Cincinnati, and you have Navy... -4, okay. And that got way up there. So they showed the lights earlier on, because you can't tell right now watching the game that it's raining, but when they show the lights so you can see it come down, we're talking about absolute downpour here in this game.
Yeah. Texas State's a final. Put it on Rice.
Yeah, killed them. And not much. Now it's, again, 3 minutes into this game, and there's a negative play again, but nothing is happening here offensively between these two teams.
Yeah. The total's 51.5.
As of right now, it is?
Yeah.
Still the live number?
And Navy's up to 9.5. Yeah. We got a lot going on here. Javonte Williams out. Olave out. Kamara out. Watts in. McCarthy's in. Adams, Corum, and Williams questionable. Williams is supposed to play. Josh Allen.
McVay reiterated starters are absolutely going to play.
Yep. Line moved. Yep. Allen's going to play.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, because
he's off the injury report today. Full go. He's going to play, huh?
Yep. Sauce is out. Waller's out. Worthy's questionable. Harrison's out. Humphrey and Bateman have the flu, supposed to play. London, Pitts, and Mooney are questionable, supposed to play.
All right. Well, you were talking about these, big teasers earlier this week.
And the lines keep going up.
They do. I mean, look at the Vikings number now. They're touching 9.5 at DraftKings. They're still at 8.5 out there at FanDuel if you'd like to tease them down to below 3 and get 2.5 on that number. And the Bills are 7.5. Now, how long does Allen play?
I don't get this.
Does it even matter?
Final game at the stadium? Just go out in style? Jets have lost 4 in a row by 23-plus points?
Yeah, don't the Bills, like on a teaser or a moneyline parlay, don't the Bills have to be on that? Now, hello, I'm the guy who said Georgia minus $2, good number last night on the money line. It was, but it didn't work out that way. And I got roasted on that bet. That was not a fun one. But it almost seems like it's, I don't know. I love the Vikings this week. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the Packers are going to score in that game.
Jefferson should have a big game.
I think they'll make it a point for McCarthy to get him the ball.
75 yards to get 1,000, something like that.
I think just a two-teamer, Minnesota and Buffalo.
Yeah, Jets, no interceptions. 1 game left. The record is 2. They have 3 takeaways. The record is 7. What's worse, no picks or 3 takeaways?
It's a bad 2-leg parlay.
Ugh.
I'm going to say the no picks because we heard about how good Sauce Gardner was for the first 2.5 years of his career. Meanwhile, I'm telling you, he's the most overrated player in football. I get it. They traded him. And they also brought in Aaron Glenn, former defensive back, who is a defensive guy as their head coach. And you can't come up with one INT, the entire tip ball, anything?
No. Yeah, who screws this up? Denver, 12.5. Rams, 8.5. Patriots, 11.5.
Jacksonville,
Vikings
12.5.
9.5. No, 13.5.
13.5 now.
Yep. Houston, 10. Could Stroud turn it over and Riley Leonard make some plays?
Maybe it could be Houston.
Do they look up and see 24-0 Jacksonville and just say, the hell with it?
Indy, last 13 games at Houston, 9-3-1 straight up, 11-1-1 ATS. Also, Houston is 15-1 under versus Indy last 16. Maybe Riley Leonard goes out there and has a day.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Ryan Kramer's going to join the program coming up in about 40 minutes. I love one of his bets that he has on this game. Love it.
Denver, 2-9 ATS is a favorite.
Maybe they screwed up.
Last year in the same situation, rolled the Chiefs 38 rip.
Right.
Chiefs have tied a record for most losses as a favorite, 8 since 1990. 9-1 last 10 against the Raiders, though. Houston can be the 3, the 5, the 6, or the 7 seed. The Bills can be the 5, the 6, or the 7 seed. Colts are the 5th team to start 8-2 and miss the playoffs. Bills 1-5 ATS is a home favorite. Jacksonville 7-0 straight up an ATS run. Arizona lost 13-14 and 1-7 ATS last 8. They've allowed 37 points or more in 5 of the last 8 games as well.
Like if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I play this game like we need it for our lives because I would like to go and play Pittsburgh if they beat Baltimore. That's going to be a total unknown because they're the Sunday night game. Now you could flip it and say, but Mitch, if they get the 5 seed, there's a decent chance they're going to play Baltimore. I get that, but what if Pittsburgh wins? We saw that game play earlier this year, and I think it would kind of be a similar result. I don't think the Steelers match up well at all against Buffalo. And meanwhile, if they don't get that, you're talking about maybe going to play at Jacksonville?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to treat it. They're not going to get the 5. They need a Houston loss.
Yeah.
And Houston beat them. So do they want the 6 or do they want the 7? They want to go to New England? Or they want to go to Jacksonville?
I think they probably want to go to New England.
Okay.
Familiar with them.
Okay. But also, I think it's a little bit same in Buffalo as same in L.A. Let's look the part here. We haven't played well. All phases. Let's clean it up.
Oh, man, you can say that about a bunch of teams right now going into the playoffs.
Okay, yeah. But I just don't think the backups should do what they want against the Jets. They're awful. They can't move the ball, and they can't stop anything. And they're not going to turn you over and go out in style in that stadium because you're going to be on the road. You're not going to have a home game anymore.
Bills are as high as 5.5 in the first half, the way it looks.
Okay, that's a good angle if they pull them, right?
Right.
I love the New England first half angle. I just think they're going to put it on Miami, who's lost 15 in a row. 40 degrees or colder. They're 10-0 against teams with a losing record. Average margin 15 a game. 8-2 overrun. And that incredible, the first half numbers are nuts.
The first
15-1-1 first half money line. 13-3 ATS first half.
Crazy good. Now look at this. Jacksonville 7.5 in the first half. That to me is getting a little bit out of control. Titans have been live here lately. The guru, John Hansen, on the program next. JSN's prop almost touching 100 yards against the 49ers. Too high or too low? We'll get his breakdown and best bets next.